Hi, it's Sherri from A Quilting Life, and I'm here today with part 2 in my series of some quick projects to help you get ready for the holidays and for Christmas. Last month I shared a fun free wall hanging pattern, and I also shared a Christmas version of my getaway quilt, and those are projects that took a little bit longer to do. Today I'm going to share some ornament ideas, and I will have a third video in this series that will come out later in November. But today I am going to show you a tutorial for, they have a few different names that I've seen for them. I've seen them called Christmas stars, Scandinavian stars, and I've also seen them shortened to Scandi stars. So there are several tutorials, but Moda has a free PDF that you can actually download that is absolutely terrific. It has step-by-step photographs. I think it's about 8 or 9 pages. And the photos are really good, but I thought it would be fun for me to show you just kind of in real life what Moda has on their free PDF. And I'll also link the PDF if you want to download it. For some people it's easier to look at the words on the page, and for other people maybe you want to just pause the video with each step. But I'm going to go ahead and show you how to make these ornaments, and also just share just a little bit about my Oh Christmas Tree ornaments that are also really fast and fun for you to make right now. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. I didn't mention before, but it was actually Carrie Nelson that originally wrote about these on the Moda blog, originally in July of 2018. And then she posted about it at least 1, maybe 2 more times after that. But she said that they're called Scandinavian stars or Scandi stars, and they're mostly used as Christmas tree ornaments and gift tie-ons. And from what she was able to find out, it seems like they were originally made with paper. But they're perfect for fabric. And I'm using the size that Carrie used in the Moda PDF, which is 4 strips, 3 inches by 14 inches. And I just took them from my scraps and I cut 4 different strips. And what you're going to do first is you're going to press the strip in half, and then you're going to fold each side to the center, kind of like you're making bias tape. Press again, and then fold it to the middle and press again. So use your iron and press 4, you'll need 4 strips for 1 ornament. Now I also saw when I was doing my research that there are people that have tutorials with these varying with the strip widths from smaller, from 2.5 inch wide strips, all the way up to 4.5 to 5 inch wide strips. And all you would need to do if you were using anything bigger than a 3 inch wide strip, I would add an extra inch to your length for every inch that you add to your width, and then you'll have plenty of fabric. You actually end up with quite a little bit to cut off here. And you can see these don't finish super large. The center section is just about 2 inches by 2 inches, and then the star points go out. So these are about 3.5 inches by, well, yeah, they're just a little over, probably 3.25 inches by 3.25 inches. And I haven't yet attached my ribbon yet, but I am going to do pretty much just like I did with my ornaments, and I'm just going to get some really narrow ribbon and make a loop and attach for hanging, and also, like it said, for gifts. Another thing you could do is just use a heavy thread or cording for your thing. But let's go back and talk about how to make these. So you're going to have the 4 different strips. And another thing too, with this one I did 2 strips each of 2 fabrics, and this is one that I did 4 different fabrics. And you could also do all of the strips the same. So I'm just going to show you how you kind of start, and you can stop as needed. One thing I am going to point out right before I start that Carrie pointed out is that all of the strips will have an edge where there's just a fold, and then they will also have the open edge. So I kind of just lined mine all up with that open edge going the same way before I got started. And you're just going to fold them in half. Some of the tutorials that I watched, actually, they were saying that you needed to offset them, but I never in my practicing offset any of them, and I always had plenty of fabric. I just folded them in half like this. Okay, and now we're going to make the first fold. Okay, so we're going to have 2 strips like this, and we're going to have 2 strips like this, and we're going to weave them. And what I'm going to do is make sure that these kind of open edges are all in toward the center. And Carrie mentioned that she wasn't really sure if that mattered or not, but just in case, I'm going to do that too. So again, all of the single folds are going to be on the outside edges when I start to weave these, and the folded folds, I guess, for lack of a better word, are there. Okay, so we're going to take this one, we're going to wrap it there, but then it's going to go through that one. With the one strip, it's going to wrap around it, so it's going to encase it, but the other strip, it's going to go through, and then we're going to do the opposite on the other side. So this one will go inside, and this one will go through there. Okay, so, and I've got those double fold edges all in the inside, and then what you're going to do is you're just going to kind of bring them together, and going to just kind of tighten it up, slide that down. And at this point, you do want it to get tight, but you don't want to make any, you don't want it so tight that you pucker it or have any lumps or anything like that. So we're going to just get that nice and tight. I kind of like pulled it on the other side too. So this is the starting place where we're going to start from. And there is another step later where we'll kind of tighten it again to make sure that it's nice and tight. And that was actually a mistake that I made with my first practice when I actually took it apart and redid it. So I will show you that again. But anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to fold the strips over, and we're going to go in a clockwise motion. So we're going to leave one there, and we're going to fold 1, 2, 3, and then 4. This last one, we're actually going to stick it under here. Carrie suggested using a hemostat or tweezers, and I happen to have one, and I thought it worked really. I tried it both ways. You can, if you don't have one, you can just pull it through with your fingers, but I'll actually show you on some of the later steps using the hemostat, because as the pieces get smaller, it does get a little bit. Okay, now at this point, you do kind of want to tighten this up a little more. And also what you want to start doing is going over to the iron and pressing. This is a good point to take it over and give it a nice press. I'm going to go do that and come right back. Okay, at this point I also want to mention you'll probably want to have some Clover Wonder Clips on hand. They are very, very useful for doing this. And also, you don't need to use glue, but I actually did use glue, and I feel like it just really kind of helps the star points to kind of stay together. And I just use this Jill Lilly Studio. It's Jill Finley's Apple glue that I really like. There are quite a few. You could use a fabric glue. I think you could even use Elmer's, honestly. I've seen people use that to baste bindings. But the fabric glue, I really like using it. And you're also going to need some scissors with a really nice sharp tip. Okay, we're going to make our first star point, which we do by folding the strip down on itself, and then we fold it like that so that we've made this triangle here. And I'll show this again as we go around to do other star points. At this point, I actually am going to put a little bit of glue. I'm just going to put a dot of glue right there. And then when I fold it over, that glue will kind of hold that together. So I've created this star point, I've got the glue in there, and now I'm going to actually take the Wonder Clip to just hold that in place. Okay, now at this point there are a couple different schools of thought. In the Moda PDF, it actually suggests this is the point where you're going to use the hemostat and we're going to pull this edge under. But I think for me, it's almost easier to trim it first instead of having all of these tails that you go along and trim after. So I'm going to trim it first using these really sharp scissors, and I'm going to trim it so that it's shorter than the piece of fabric it's going to be tucked inside. So I'm going to kind of go right at the midway mark, and I'm going to cut that, and this is just going to get thrown away. And this is the point where it kind of is helpful for the hemostat. I'm going to put that through and then insert the edge of that strip inside the hemostat, and I'm going to pull it through. And I can kind of straighten it and move it with, you can also use your fingers, that's fine. So I've done that, I've pulled it through, and I am actually just going to stick, and that's what I love about Jill Finley's glue, is that it has this long tip, and I think some of the others do as well, but I can just stick that in there and put a little dot of glue there. Okay, and now we're going to move on, and we're going to fold our next star point. We're going to just leave these clips right here, and I also kind of like to just after every fold just make sure that it's tight. I'm just going to turn it a quarter turn, and I am going to make another star point the same way. I'm going to go like that. I'm going to fold it like that. I'm going to put my dot of glue, and I'm just using the smallest amounts. I don't want glue to be oozing out all over the place, and then fold it on itself. Press it. You could actually take it over to the iron also and press it before putting your glue there. I've got my Wonder Clip, and now I'm going to trim it, and again I'm going to trim it right about the midway point, and then I'm going to use the hemostat to put that through. Okay, and then just like before I'm just going to stick a little dot of glue in there. Okay, and we are going to do 2 more. And then a little dab of glue to keep it in place. Okay, after you've done 4, you flip it over, and you're going to do the same thing. You could also go to the iron in between each step. I'm going to actually give it a good pressing at the end too. Okay, and there you have it. What I did with mine is I actually let them sit overnight with the Wonder Clips. It probably doesn't need to be completely overnight. You could just do it for a couple of hours probably and it would be dry. But I did let these sit overnight, and just get really nice and dry. And I just really feel like they're not going to come apart at all. And then you'll give them a good pressing. I'm actually going to go press this one. I haven't pressed this one since the glue dried. So I'm going to go press this one so that you can just see, and it should flatten out like this one. Okay, so I went and pressed this one. It's a little neater, a little flatter, and I just need to add my little strings to hang them. But really, really love making these. They take a little bit of time. These are the scraps that I had left, just little bits here and there. And anyway, they're a lot of fun. I even feel like you could have kids do these, and you could help them with maybe tucking in and doing the glue part. But a lot of fun these are, and perfect way to use up your scraps. Okay, and then just wanted to take a minute. These are the ornaments in my Oh Christmas Tree pattern that I came out with, and just wanted to show you really quick. There's a house, a log cabin, a star, a friendship star, a tree, which is also perfect to just use as a coaster, or it can also be an ornament. And then the stocking is probably my favorite one. And I've actually got a couple more ready to go. I usually, after I piece them, I just wanted to show you, I put batting in there and a backing, and I just hand quilt these. It's kind of hard to tell, but I've got my little hand quilted stitches. I just get a bunch of these ready to go, and when I'm watching TV, I will just hand quilt them, and then I will sew the binding on. And if you notice, you don't need to use bias binding, you can use regular binding, but the smaller one, I just put the extra binding to the back so that it looks more narrow from the front. And anyway, just a couple of ideas to get you going on your Christmas projects. Okay, so that's it for this little ornament smorgasbord, I guess you would say. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. I hope you have fun making lots of these stars. They really are so much fun. I love them in our favorite things fabrics, and really you can just use your scraps if you've been sewing other projects from this collection. And so we will link the PDF from Moda, where you can go and just download that for free with all the step-by-step. And then also I'll put a link to my Oh Christmas Tree ornament pattern. If you enjoyed today's video, please share it with a friend, hit the like button, and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. Thanks so much for stopping by.